welcome to Kitchen Basics 101, where I teach you the bare bone basics as if you've never cooked a day in your life from the perspective of a mom. We're doing a recipe from our Kasori Turbo Blaze air fryer because I promised you that we were going to make some things from the cookbook so that if you got the new air fryer or you have an air fryer at home, then you would be able to make the recipes. So we're going to do this one. We're going to do these roasted green beans, roasted Dijon green bean. I'm very excited. This is my first time trying the air fryer. I did a video about it, which I can tag here. So I told you that it comes with this really cool cookbook. There's lots of beginner recipes. So I'm just going to break them down for you, do a little tutorial, and we'll taste them and see if they're any good. It says it's 4 servings and it tells you to do 4 cups of beans, which I think is kind of a lot of beans for 4 people, in my opinion. And I just wanted to show you, I have mine soaking in some cool water. Now, when I was a kid, we used to pick green beans at my grandma's house, and we would sit like this and we would snap all the ends off. And it was like, oh, wherever it snaps is the right place to pull it off. I don't know. This is a pretty labor-intensive way to do beans. And I don't know about you, but I only have a limited amount of time in the kitchen, especially with the kids home for the summertime. So I'm going to chop the ends off. Line the beans up in a little row and just whack the ends off. Now, if you buy beans that don't have these little stems on them, see how these ends have little stems on them? If your beans don't have those stems on them, then they're probably already trimmed, and I would just give them a nice bath and a good cleaning before you cook with them. But that's really all you need. These beans don't look nearly as good as my grandma's out of her garden did, but what can we do? I am not the gardening type. I was taught to garden as a kid, but I don't like to be outside. You know, I'm an indoor cat. Trimming is also a good time to just look through all of them, make sure they all look good, get rid of any ones that are like really floppy and don't hold their shape. Like if you hold the bean up like this and it like, you know, then it probably needs to be thrown out. Drawer to my new air fryer, and I have the crisping plate installed. So this is an extra piece and I have it installed here in the bottom. Okay, it has little feet and it snugs in nice and snug. Make sure you wash this thoroughly before you use it for the first time. It is dishwasher safe. Like this whole drawer piece and the insert is dishwasher safe, but I just used some dish soap and a sponge and cleaned it up. Then we're gonna press the power button to turn it on, and we're gonna press the preheat button, which is right here. And then we're gonna press the start button, which is right there. And that's gonna get everything nice and preheated while we make our dressing. Start making our dressing. So I'm measuring because we're using a recipe, and so I'm gonna measure for you and for me. So it's a ½ teaspoon of pepper. I'm putting the dry seasonings in first so that I don't get the measuring devices dirty with like olive oil or Dijon, because then I won't be able to put them in my spices, okay? 1 teaspoon salt. It says kosher salt, but I always use pink Himalayan, so we're using pink Himalayan. ½ teaspoon garlic powder. Smells so good every time I open it. It says 2 teaspoons of fresh tarragon. Now, I couldn't find fresh tarragon, but I thought it was a good opportunity to tell you that when you're using dry spices, they're more potent than fresh spices as a general rule. It doesn't apply to 100% of all spices, but in general, when you're using a dry spice, it's more potent. So if it says 2 teaspoons of fresh tarragon chopped up, I'm only going to use 1 teaspoon of the dry because I don't want it to be overwhelming or overpowering. And there's a big risk of that when you're using dry spices. Just think about when you dehydrate things, they become much more concentrated in flavor. And so we're just going to do 1 teaspoon of dried tarragon, but it's 2 teaspoons of fresh tarragon. Our preheat is ready. Can you hear it? I do 2 teaspoons of red wine vinegar. Whoop, 1. I went a little over, but I love vinegar. And then for our olive oil, it's 2 teaspoons of olive oil. So 2 teaspoons of olive oil. Now, me personally, when I'm making recipes, I am not nearly this precise, but I just want to stick to it and I want to taste it so that I can confidently tell you that these recipes are good. Okay, our last ingredient is a tablespoon of Dijon mustard. Me personally, I love Dijon mustard. Love it, but I'm gonna try not to be too heavy-handed with it. I try to really do the tablespoon. I have to get something to get the rest of this out. Hold on. I just ended up using the smaller teaspoon to try to scrape out some of the Dijon that got stuck in my tablespoon. But I've heard people also sometimes will like put olive oil in a measuring scoop to help get stuff that sticks out. But you know, we make do. We're just moms. That's our sauce. Now, it doesn't say to do this, but I'm going to emulsify it by giving it just a little bit of a stir with my whisk. To me, this does not look like enough dressing, especially for this many beans. I feel like this is a lot of beans. I just wonder if like 4 cups was what they meant on the recipe, because this is quite a bit of beans here. I like my stuff a little bit more seasoned, but we'll see. We're gonna give it a chance. We're gonna give it a toss. Let's get a nice big rubber spatch. Let's give it a nice toss. Spoke too soon. It's actually coating it pretty well. It's looking pretty good. What I love about a rubber spatula is that when we're finished, okay, and we toss this into our preheated, there's gonna be some stuck to the bowl, and I'm just gonna use the rubber spatula to pull every last bit of that tasty goodness off of the bowl and into our air fryer, okay? So they're all tossed and dressed. It smells incredible. So let's just hope it tastes as good as it smells. Pull out this preheated tray. Be careful, this is very hot, obviously, and you're gonna put your beans into your preheated tray. Right? Oh, they're sizzling. Sizzle, sizzle. Yum. And like I said, I'm going to use the spatula to just get the last bit of the dressing off and make sure it's all on there. Look at this gorgeousness. Gorgeous. Okay, we're going to pop the tray in. Beautiful. Okay, let's see. Then you're supposed to press the roast, and you're supposed to adjust the temperature to 415. The temperature button's right here. 415. Then you're supposed to adjust the time to 3 minutes. 3 minutes. And then you press the play. All right, see you guys in 3 minutes. She just beeped to let me know she's ready. So I'm gonna pub it out. Smoking. Smells amazing. I wanna give it a taste before I plate it out to see if it's like all the way there. I'm gonna take them out, plate them up onto a nice serving bowl here. I take it back. I think the serving size is good for a family of 4. It just looked like so many beans, but I think it's actually a pretty good serving size. Okay, they are smoking hot. Okay. Here's my thoughts. It said 3. I did 5. Mine were just a little bit still too undone for me, but that's a personal preference. I think 3 would have been fine, but for me personally, I think 5's better. They've got a little bit of a bite. They're a little bit sort of spicy, and I don't know if that's the pepper or the Dijon, but they're really delicious. Very, 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 very flavorful. Super flavorful. Super quick, super easy. I recommend.